Fox News Update, I'm Trace Gallagher. On Facebook Watch, Judge Brett Kavanaugh's accuser says she would be prepared to testify next week, but only if the Senate Judiciary Committee offers terms that are fair and which ensure her safety. That's what her lawyer told the committee. This after Chairman Chuck Grassley gave her until 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow to decide whether she'll testify at a hearing on Monday. Her lawyer is saying Monday's not possible, but it could happen sometime next week. Christine Blasey Ford claims Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her more than 3 decades ago when they were both in high school. The Supreme Court nominee denies it, and he says he is willing to testify. Attorney Anahita Sedaghatfar is here with more. So the letter comes out, and she now says, well, first they wanted this big, long FBI investigation. Now they're saying, okay, she might testify if the circumstances are right, but it's not going to happen Monday. Right. Any chance they delay this again, you think?
I think there might be a slight chance. I know the Republicans are ready to move forward. They want to push this vote through. I can tell you, though, Trace, any victim of sexual assault and sexual harassment should have a right to be heard, without being threatened, without being called a liar, without certainly receiving death threats. So if I were advising her, I would tell her to go ahead and testify. If it's not Monday, then the next couple of days after that. Unfortunately, this has become a public issue now. Whether or not she wanted this to be public, it has become public. Yeah. And we're talking about someone who's receiving possibly a lifetime appointment to the highest court in the land. And so I think this issue needs to be aired out, and it needs to be aired out publicly so that there's public trust, public confidence in the process, and so the senators can make a decision as to whether or not he should be confirmed to the highest court in the land.
And the Republicans have already said there's going to be no investigation. That's done. Right. They're moving on, right? But they're probably, you know, willing to move this thing from Monday to Wednesday, certainly, right?
Yes.
So that it sounds, but the question remains, look, if she doesn't testify, he gets confirmed.
He gets confirmed.
That's that.
Right. And if she does, you have to ask yourself, will he still get confirmed nonetheless? We know both sides are very entrenched in their positions, right? And, you know, unfortunately, this has become politicized. Right. I hate to say it, but sexual assault and harassment should not be a political issue. It has become one. You have the Republicans saying that the Democrats brought this up at the last hour because they want to sort of delay until after the midterms. And then you have the Democrats saying the Republicans aren't here to find out the truth. They just want to push through so their nominee gets put on the bench. Right. Sadly, I think there's some truth to both sides, and that's not what this should be about. This should be about finding the truth.
You mentioned politics, but you know this is going to be a he said, she said, and it's going to come down. It's going to be perceived by people along the he said, she said lines,
that's right?
That's the way this is going to be perceived. It all comes down to credibility. Her credibility versus his credibility.
Yes, and that's how it goes in most of these cases. Unfortunately, there are not witnesses oftentimes to sexual assault. In this case, she says, Dr. Ford claims there was a witness. What I would like to see is everyone that can testify, come testify under oath in a public hearing, and let the senators do their job and decide who's being honest, who's being truthful. There's obviously not going to be any forensic evidence. This is 35 years ago if it happened. So really it is just going to be based on credibility and who the senators believe.
Quickly, very little evidence, maybe no evidence. Tough to pick a winner in these types of cases.
It's going to be tough. And like I said, unfortunately, this issue has become so politicized that I don't know if really the issue is, let's get at the truth. I think the issue for the Republicans is, let's just move forward with this so that we can get our guy on the bench. For Democrats, possibly it's like, let's delay. Let's get an investigation before we move forward.
Yeah, and I think that the question here becomes, you know, is everybody willing to listen? Are they willing to listen? Are there open minds to this thing? All the Democrats said they're not going to vote for Kavanaugh before he was even announced as the nominee, right? The Republicans, kind of the same thing. You have these staunch party lines. And the question is, are people going to listen to this, or is everybody going to say, you know what? This is, as you said, this has to be one of those fair things, and is it really up to the Senate Judiciary Committee to make a fair assessment?
Well, I agree with you. I think it's probably not going to make a difference. It should, because this should be about finding out the truth. I do believe the Senate should make a determination, though, either way. You know, this should not really go to the FBI. I agree with the Republicans on the Senate that constitutionally, this isn't an investigation meant for the FBI. This is really for the Senate to hear the evidence, listen to the evidence, and for them to make a determination.
Anahita Sedaghatfar, great information, good insight, as always. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Then check out Fox News for more on today's biggest stories on cable, satellite, and radio, and right here on Facebook. Watch it live on demand. I'm Trace Gallagher. Have a good day.